What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with yet another video for you guys. Anybody that's new to the channel and you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, let's jump right into the topic of this video. Let's talk about defensive end and 2023 first round pick Tyree Wilson, who I think could be the biggest X factor for the Raiders defense moving into 2024. And Tyree Wilson, going into his second year, still has a lot of potential to unlock, and this season might just be his breakout year. Now, just a quick recap on Tyree Wilson. Last year in his rookie season in 2023, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. He missed a lot of time in the offseason because of that foot injury he suffered back in November of 2022. So instead of spending that time in OTAs and training camp, getting on the football field, working on his technique, and just kind of getting adjusted to the speed of the NFL, unfortunately for Tyree Wilson, a vast majority of that time was just spent on his rehab process, just spent on trying to recover from that foot injury, which can be difficult to recover from, not only physically but mentally. And really the lack of prep time in the offseason showed up early in the season for him, and you could definitely tell he was behind in just his overall development and just adapting to the speed of the NFL, and he really struggled to make a significant impact early on. It is also important to note that ideally Tyree Wilson was not even supposed to be out there on the football field that early in the season, as the plan was for him to sit under a veteran defensive end like Chandler Jones, but we all know how that fiasco turned out, and that just left us short-handed at the defensive end position. So Tyree Wilson was forced out there on the football field week 1, which is kind of crazy to think about because the guy didn't really get any meaningful reps until our last preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. And even then, he only got, I think, like 10 or 12 reps in that one. And shortly after, he was forced out there on the edge in week 1. So Tyree Wilson did not really have the luxury of a smooth transition out in that football field in his rookie season. And it was essentially just him rehabbing his injury and then immediately being thrown out there. But let's give the guy some credit. Despite the rocky and slow start, he ended up the season recording 29 total tackles, 16 solo tackles, and he had 3.5 sacks and also had 1 forced fumble. Not too bad for a guy who was behind the 8 ball from the get-go. But with Tyree Wilson, one thing you did notice was as the 2023 season went on, Wilson started to get his footing. He showed some real flashes of promise towards the end of the season. He started to get better off the line. He wasn't looking so slow on his get-off, and he was finally starting to make plays in the run game and being able to create some real pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And the Raiders even utilized him at the defensive tackle spot midway through the season. He had some success there, like we saw in that Miami game and also against the Minnesota Vikings, which I think was probably his best performance in all of 2023. So really, this versatility, being able to play both off the edge and in the inside, makes him a real asset moving forward for the Raiders. And really, when you're talking about Tyree Wilson, you're just talking about a physical beast, standing at 6'7", weighing in at 275 pounds. Tyree Wilson is an absolute beast, and we have already seen him be dominant using his physical traits early on. He's got freakish strength and has a great frame and could really be an elite physical athlete, but where he really needs to step up in a year 2 is improving on his technique as a pass rusher. He's got to get better at using his hands to beat his opponents and take full advantage of one-on-one matchups, which I think will be a huge opportunity for him going into next season, because last season I felt like he was a little bit too one-dimensional at times in the way he attacked the offensive linemen. A lot of times he just mainly relied on his strength and the bull rush technique to make plays, and since he is so dominant physically, he was able to get by here and there. But if he wants to reach his full potential, he cannot be one-dimensional like this. He has to be more unpredictable. He's got to be able to beat them with technique, with hand usage, develop another pass rushing move or two. That's really what could make him an absolute game wrecker for us moving forward. So really, he needs to develop in these other facets of his game. The Raiders defensive line isn't just about Tyree Wilson though. With stars like Max Crosby and with our newly acquired defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, opposing offenses will have their hands full, and I think this is where Tyree Wilson can shine. With so much attention being drawn on Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins in the inside, I think Tyree Wilson will get plenty of opportunities to exploit one-on-one matchups, and this is really where he needs to take advantage of these situations. If he can improve his technique and build on the momentum he had from the end of last season, he could be a game changer for this defense. I mean, just imagine if Tyree Wilson can be dominant, win those one-on-one matchups. We still got a guy like Malcolm Koonce who broke out last season. Christian Wilkins will be a force to reckon with in the interior of the defense. And then, of course, you got Max Crosby, who's a superstar off the edge. So really, sky's the limit for this Raiders defensive line heading into 2024. And really, if Tyree Wilson can reach his potential, we could be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders having the best defensive line in 2024. And I think if that happens, very likely our defense will be a top 5 unit. If Tyree Wilson can put it all together, we're talking about a defensive line that can just create havoc on opposing quarterbacks. And we're talking about a unit that could just wreck opposing offensive game plans week in and week out. And if the Raiders can do that, they're going to be in a lot of ball games. They're going to be in a great position to win a lot of football games next season. So really, Tyree Wilson's growth and development could be the key to turning the Raiders defense from good to great in 2024. And just in general, next season, Tyree Wilson is going to be one of those players that I'm super excited on. I will keep a close eye on his development week in and week out. And he will be one of the most exciting and intriguing developments in 2024. And he really has that potential to take this defense to another level, in my opinion. He's got the potential to be the biggest X factor for the Raiders defense. If he hits his stride, the Raiders are going to be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks week in and week out. We have the chance to be an elite defensive line unit, and typically when that happens, that's going to make the entire rest of the defense look that much better. We should be able to create more turnovers and just be a more explosive defensive unit. Now, it's still early in the offseason, but Tyree Wilson looks to be in great shape, and he is learning from an all-pro superstar player like Max Crosby. So really, the sky's the limit for Tyree Wilson moving forward. I think it's going to be a huge benefit to his game, having a full NFL offseason, being able to participate in OTAs, have a full training camp, being able to get some reps in the preseason as well. But Raider Nation, I definitely want to get your guys' feedback in the comment section down below. How excited are you guys for Tyree Wilson moving forward into year 2 of his career? Let me know in that comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that's all for you guys in today's video. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.